Hello, hello, hello. It's Anne Lewis. Welcome to Anne's Paperworks. Today I'm going to be showcasing how to make two-tone cardstock actually zing, because it's a new product to Stamping Up. We've had it for about 10 months, but we haven't had this sort of paper prior. So the good part of this is there's actually a sale which started today, which makes two-tone cardstock 20% off, and there are 106 colors. Can you believe that? 106 colors. Now they're still Stamping Up colors, so they still all match our existing cardstock. Now one side, I would call it a pure Stamping Up color, and the other side of the paper, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'll just throw you down to the desk. I'll just put those out of the way for the second. Let's just see. So here's a green, and then there's the other side. So you can clearly see there's a difference in tone. So this is clearly garden green, and this one is a lighter tone of garden green. So, but there's so much more to this paper than what you would actually expect. And I know you haven't seen me use it before. I think I got a little stuck because I'd used something similar many years ago when I used to scrapbook, and I just hadn't used what I had in the house. So today I pulled out probably my 20 colors, so I've got still a few to go, of two-tone cardstock, and there's so much that you can do with it. Now I've got a few cards, a few techniques to show you, and a few things just to discuss with you. Hi Joanne, how are you? Now, as you know, this is 1 hour earlier than normal, this Facebook, well, my live session, wholly and solely because it's State of Origin tonight. And I knew I needed to start a little earlier because it's the decider, and I know how many people will be watching that. So I've also kept the projects really simple for tonight. So it's more about how to use the cardstock than it is about any of the design principles, etc. And I've got a few options because there's lots that you can actually do with this paper. Now, this is going to be these are the two cards that I'm going to walk you through. Hi, Catherine. Idea. So this is the first card, and I'm going to bring it up, and I've used the mini corrugated embossing folder, and I'm hoping you can see how I've actually changed it. So this is how before I've actually done some work on it, and I'll explain what that work actually is. So I'm going to put this card just over here. Now I've already embossed. This is two-tone embossing, sorry, two-tone cardstock. You can see the difference in the colors. Hi Sharon, hi Lynette, hi Catherine. You can clearly see. Now I'm keeping to what I would call the pure red. And as I said, I run it through the embossing, through the cut and emboss machine. Now I've already lost something here, which I'm a little annoyed at. Oh, here it is. Anyway, I'll put this over here. Anyway, so this is the mini corrugated, so it's a 3D embossing folder. So I've run it through, so it's run through this way, but my card, I'll just show you. So there's no mistake. Just fit straight back in. So I've run it through like that. Now, on any of our embossing folders where the fold is, that's the side that goes through first. Otherwise, you might damage your embossing folder because there's an awful lot of pressure that comes out of that cut and emboss machine to get such great texture. Now, what I'm going to show you before, where's some cardstock? Look, aren't I spongy? I'm just going to use this piece. So this is some two-tone. You can't see anything really different about it. It's slightly less heavy cardstock than what I would call the basic Stamping Up cardstock that we're used to. But when you actually rip it, or what this shows is it actually has a white core. And I love that white core because it gives you so many design options to actually use that. And you're going to see a couple that I've done tonight, and I've got a couple more that I can walk through. So now I did have Stamping Up used to have a sanding block when I first started out as a demonstrator. Anyway, I went looking for that because I knew I hadn't thrown it away, and I ripped the place apart, wasted a couple of hours. So then I had to go out to my paint stores and pull out this poor little sanding block. Now it needs to, whatever you're using needs to be pretty fine. This one's a bit dirty, has been sitting in the garage, but it'll still do the deed. So now all I'm doing is just gently sanding the lines. So I'm not trying to dig in too much. I am shaking the camera, I know. I can't really hold that. And what it does is that white core pops gently through. And of course, my paper is a little rough. I'm trying to be gentle. May not sound like it. I'm trying not to press too hard. And so all that happens, this is such an easy technique. Anyone can do this. And as I said, you can just go to the garage, pick up a sanding block, and now you can see how that white core's come through. Now, so here's my card base. I've just kept it as a standard card base. Now, there is a secret to this, and I wanted to show you. Nothing to do with the two-tone cardstock. Let's just leave out that word two-tone. It's getting too hard. The cardstock that I'm using is, because this is the mini corrugated, it creates waves. So it makes it thinner. It squishes it in, but it does nothing at the top. So whilst I kept my border the same, I am going to cut a little bit off the top, just 1/8 of an inch, so that I'll have an even border all the way around. So you can see that looks a lot better than it did before. So let's get some multi-purpose adhesive. Because it's been embossed, I do need to go right to the corners, hopefully not squish out too much. You can just see how nice this is. And I think when you've got a white core, especially with red, a white card base works really well. Now, my secret is when I have a lot of texture, I just use my bossing folder so I don't flatten it, but all the glue makes up and sticks. So then I just kept this card super simple. And I'm using the gallery. I've got it on my table, but I can't. Oh, here it is. The Gallery Bloom stamp set. This is, you see me use this one a fair bit because I love it so much. So let's just ink up my stamp. I'm using Memento Black, but you could use, I think mine needs a little bit of re-inking, actually. I should have picked that up before. Actually, I might go to got 4 mementos. That's my oldest one. And it would be about 15 years old. Let's see what this looks like. I haven't re-inked this one, but it might have a little bit more ink on it. That's looking a bit better. So all I've done, I've got some, I'm trying to save my grid paper here. So it doesn't get too messy. Let's bring just a scrap piece of paper in. All I'm going to do is stamp this down. Big stamp, so I am walking it around a little bit. So how gorgeous is that? This stamp goes with so many designs. I don't know, where's some? Here's some a new one. As you can see, I'm keeping this super simple. Don't tell me. Oh, I thought I'd been lost somewhere. You disappeared off my computer there for a minute. So I'm just going to place this in the middle. Get rid of that. Use my grid paper for what it's created for. Now I can count them across, but let's just go by eye. And then I have somewhere here already stamped, because as I said, I wanted to keep this session short but cover some really important things. So I'm just put Let's Celebrate, which comes from the Simply Said stamp set. You see me use this, I'd say, every week. I'm going to pop that up with dimensionals again, so you can see how easy it is to use these. Wasn't one of my smartest things. I normally keep my scissors glue free, but anyway, not tonight. And I'm trying to use the last little bits of this. I know. Here we go. I'm not going to show you anything on the inside, because really it was just using the cardstock and show you how easy it is to use. Here we go. Oops. So what a simple card that is. And I'm hoping you can see how that has added a little bit more texture to that embossing folder. It's just distressed it a little bit. I know. Now, before I move on to the next one, I have just wanted to show you, because most of our embossing folders will work, but I think Forever Plaid probably works better than any others. So I will show you what it looks like. And I can see this being used for some of my Christmas cards. So you can see this one comes up even better. You could layer this. You don't want to take off all the colour. You will get kind of dust everywhere. So we'll get rid of that. So how nice is that? And all I had to do was run it through the cut and emboss, and that's come up really nice. So I think that will be used for some of my Christmas cards. So that's just one of the many embossing folders that we could use. Now I'm going to come down to the next project, which I've done a fair bit of the work for, to be honest. So I have a standard card base, which my standard card bases are 8 1/4 by 4 1/8. Sorry, 8 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I'm just about to score at 4 1/8. I think I've cut this at the right size, haven't I? Yep. Yep, perfect. Wasn't sure, it looked a little bigger. Another really simple card. As I said, I normally do, stepped up cards, but I really did want to show you how to do this card. I'm changing the colours up because I kind of felt this was a little flat, needed a little more oomph. And I didn't have a lot of choices in my colours. I had Christmas colours, lots of Christmas colours, and some of the other colours that I had came in packs, but they weren't ones that really went together real well. Now, with two-tone cardstock, you can actually buy kits. Where's my, I want to show you these, because they actually come in multiple colours, which make them pretty special. So here's one set of two-tone cardstock. So I would call them earthy or masculine colours. All right, so you get that in a set. So you get 12 sheets, two each of those colours. Then we have even some really pretty ones. Celebrate Together. I love these colours, mainly because I'm a Blackberry Bliss fan, but it also has cloud cover. And that first colour is Strawberry Slush. So you can see this is a really easy way to get a good selection of cardstock without buying lots of packs. Rightio. So this one, where's my card? Here's my card here. So I'm just going to put it over here and I'll show you what I did. Let's just find. Rightio. So you can see I've already torn this. And so to make this card, it's really easy to tear. Now, you can actually add a little bit of water here to tear it, but I don't think you actually need it with this paper. Now, when I'm tearing it, you can go up or down. It just gives a different, which side actually has that white ripped look. I'm going a little different than what I went. I did it from this side. Let's do it from this side. So much easier for me. Now, I use this finger as a bit of a guide because I don't want too much of that white border. Want enough as a contrast, but not too much. Now, that's the lighter side. I can use that if I wish. And I'm just going to make this easier. And you'll see what happens here. I'm just going to cut this. And that's the side that I'll use. Now, I have already torn some because I didn't think you needed to see me tear heaps and heaps. Now, I want to add more red to this than I did on the first one. And so I'll just show you look, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I just used some of my multi-purpose glue, went from corner to corner. You don't want too much, but you do want coverage of all of it in the middle because you've got all these pieces. You want them all stuck. And I go a little bit from side to side as well. I know. This is not a fine art. There is, wait a minute. I will put a straight edge at the top here, just to line that up. Actually, I'm going the wrong way here. Actually, I will put that there. Now, on the original, I don't worry about the corner, the thing, but I'm going to, you'll see now I have changed this up a little bit. So I've got my white border now going up. I don't want them too thick. This is just a little bit thick here. So I'm gonna. Hi, Glenda, and Kiko is here like a little angel. Such a surprise. She wasn't before I started, but she is at the moment. Where's some of my other colours? Oh, I've got some early espresso. Now, you don't have to line this side up. I just have for some unknown reason tonight. What else do I need? I need some of that, this colour here. which I think is Petal Pink. And I'm going to go back to the red. I just need to cut these off. There's a big pair of scissors. Let's go back to red. So I want this really strong red. I don't want the off colours of this. All right, but I'm not doing them in any order. You can see how quick this technique is. Let's do green, blue. Don't want the really thick end. And I want that red again. Hopefully I will have enough room here. Is that going to go over? Just will. And I'll put another colour down the bottom. Do this. Now, I just haven't got glue right on the very edge, so I'll run some glue across. Now, what I would normally do, if I wasn't doing this live, I would let the glue dry, which may just take a couple of minutes because I've added, oh, it's way too thick, that little bit. Now I'll trim that off. Now, so you can see I've spent a little more effort actually matching my colours here. So I'm going to turn this over, use my scissors. This is why it's a little better to wait till it's dry, but we'll survive, I think. Move it here. As I said, these are such simple techniques. Let's get rid of this. Give myself a bit of a clean desk. And to be honest, I think that's just a little bit too big there. So you can go back and do a bit of correction. And again, I would get my bone folder just to make sure that glue is spread out and it's nicely. Rightio. So how much brighter is this one just by selecting some brighter colours? I like the brighter version, you know me. Joanne says she likes the colours that I showed in the catalogue, the Celebrate ones. I think they're fabulous. I'm going to have to buy some. Whoops. I think I'm going to have to just trim that off a smidgen. Let's see if I can do it with scissors. Oh, I might do the top bit. This is how your trimmer gets full of glue. I have to clean it now. Just add a little bit more glue to stick it down. Oops. Oh, that's better. I just didn't trim it down enough. Then I'm going to pop it up on here. So there's nothing fancy or anything about this. And I'm just going to add one of my favourite tags. Now, for those that haven't been around with Stampin' Up for a long time, we used to have this stamp set called chalk talk. I loved it. I think it was maybe the first year I was a demonstrator. I'm not sure, but it was a long time ago, and I loved it. And they've brought out not the same stamp set, but something that reminds me of it. So how gorgeous are those colours? Here's I'll show you the stamp set. And it comes with dies. So it's called paper tags. So I'm using this one here. And I use both those big dies there. I do. So I've added a little bit of dimension on this. So it's one of those I'm going to have to be a little careful. Whoops. You didn't see that I've used both sides of this. Do that sometimes. Saves paper. As long as it doesn't show through on the other side, you're okay. Now I've got a few more ideas of what you can do with this paper. I'll pop this up again. That's what I said. So I've got 3 different layers on this. So I think it'll still make it through Australia Post, but you don't want to send it overseas, this one. I need my pokey tool. I must have it here somewhere. I know, so I'm just going to put this on a bit of an angle. I like the red because it's a little brighter. Now I decided it needed a little bow up the top here. I've got some silver ribbon. It's really simple. Now I did have a little bit of trouble attaching this. Now I could have tied it on before I attached it. How nice is this? What is this called? Silver and white. I think it's still current. It's been one of my favourite ribbons. Now, to be honest, I had a little bit of trouble sticking this down. So I'm going to pull out some tear and tape. Make a mess. And I'm hoping the tear and tape will hold it down a bit better than my other options. Now, I know this looks a bit messy, but I think it's going to work better because you've got a great hole there. Remember, I've popped it up a few times. There we go. And then just going to sit this here. Works perfectly. Far better than glue dots or the multi-purpose glue that I tried on the first one. So how cute is that, and how easy? It's a bit big, that bow, so let's cut it down, trim it up. I know. So card number 2. So they're really simple cards. Now I wanted to show you how to do this kind of leather. Now I've used just the early espresso. I'll show you. It's another really simple technique. So you can make a masculine card if you had early espresso. Don't worry about the size of this. Now I did spray it with a bit of water. You don't have to. I'm going to not spray this time with a bit of water. This is how easy this paper is. Because it's a little thinner than our cardstock, you can do this with our cardstock. That's how it matches. Is I'm just going to roll this up. Hi, Myrtle. That ribbon ties so nicely for a bow. Anyone can do it. Like that. So that's round 1, but I'm going to open it up, put some more creases in it, because you can see I've got lots of creases in this. So it gives it a lot more texture. Because I sprayed this one with water, it's a little softer creases. I know. So there we go. So you can see what happens. Get my very gentle painter's block. Whoop. I just wanted to add a little bit of the core coming through. Don't want a lot, but you get to choose. I don't. So how good is that as one of your layers? And I mean either for card making or for scrapbooking. Sorry, got sidetracked there. Now I've got one other technique. Could you please list the code for the paper tag stamp set? Paper tag stamp set. The code is 165454. So it comes with dies, which you can see the number hopefully on there for the dies. The brown core is very grunge looking, Joanne says, and it is. Now, so let's not, you don't have to make everything shabby, but I did want to show you, think of this background, this one I tore, but remember this is two-tone, so I could have made a background that looks something, don't worry about, I've only got one red. You can see the difference in the tones, and I've only got one brown. Oh no, got another brown. You can see the difference in the tone here. So you could run it down, especially if you had better colour coordination than what I've got. I'm going to have to get some of those on sale. So you can see how there is a different tone from one side to the other, and how useful that is when you're card making. So that could be another base for a card. Now, this one here, you can make water. So you could use different colour blues or two shades of blue, tear it like this, and then you got waves. I just didn't have any blues to be able to showcase that. And I think I just want to see, because I had a list of things I wanted to show you, because I knew I was going to be flying through. So I've shown you the two-tone. You can sand it, you can tear it, you can strip it. Oh, I got one more for you. Now, you saw me cut these pieces. Let me show you another way of distressing this. So I've got glue everywhere. I don't know how that happened. Just kidding, folks. I know. So I could cut this and I'd get those lovely clean lines that I've got on these, but I could actually get, where's my take a pick tool, lift this up out of the way and just do this. And it'll be distressed. I might have to do it a little heavier than what I just did then. I know. Whoops. Probably is better doing that like that. No, it's not. I know. So I'll just, my take a pick tool's had its day, I think. Wait a minute. So I just want to show you, because the white core, when you do it like this, actually shows through down the sides. So see how that is now. I'll just put this on a darker shade. See how this is like a straight edge, but now it's got a little bit of, come on, what's the word? um, shabbiness to it. I know that's not the right word. Someone's going to help me with that word. But you know what? You can see how it's a lot rougher. And if I turn it on the side, you can see that white core. So there's so many different things that you can do with this. And I know you didn't actually see it, but let's use this piece of paper. It stamps really well. Now, there is a willow white as well. Where's some black? Here we go. I'll show you how well this stamps on. Now, I don't recommend two-tone cardstock for a card base, but for layers, let's give that a little bit more in the middle. And I just want to show you how nice it stamps. Perfect to be able to stamp on. So you could do backgrounds with it. So much you can do with this paper. And it's a little more cost effective because it's a little lighter than the basic cardstock that you see me normally use. Flocking, says Catherine. Two-tone. Ideo. Now, so you've seen, like you saw, wait a minute, let's come and show you this card. So they're simple cards that you can just have a little bit of fun with, and you can trial what's in your stash and what colours you've got, because all the colours do pretty well together, especially when you buy those special packs, the 12 6x2 different colours that I showed you before. So hopefully you've enjoyed tonight. As I said, it's a super quick one because I know everyone wants to get to watch the football. Anyone not watching the football tonight, leave a comment, or who didn't watch the football if you're in Queensland, New South Wales anyway. I know not around Australia, but it's certainly big in our two states. So thank you very much. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this die was the Everyday Archer's die. So I use this a fair bit because once I get a really like a plain card, you want a different shape, which is why I use the tags here as well. So thank you, everybody. Just remember, you've only got 2 more days after today for the cardstock special on two-tone cardstock. That's hard to say at this stage of night. And next week, I will be back with something new, probably a little bit more stepped up than today, because I wanted to keep it super simple. There's that Forever Plaid embossing folder, which, as I said, it'll be coming out for all my Christmas projects. Adios. So Joanne doesn't watch the football. Sharon doesn't watch the football. I find it hard to believe, says Anne. I'm a football tragic. So thank you very much for watching. I'm glad you liked them, Glenda and Catherine. As I said, simple cards, but you can do so much with your stash once you add a little bit of two-tone. Ideo, don't forget, I've got a Christmas in July class on the 27th, or whatever the Sunday is. I think it's the 27th of July, so only a couple of weeks away. So we're going to be getting started on some Christmas projects. And I think there's going to be a little surprise because I think we're going to do a gift, or maybe two little gifts as our projects on the day. Thanks, everybody. Have a fabulous week. I'm still in the mess of renovation, so hence why I'm not posting as much, because I am packing and unpacking and cleaning basically on a daily basis. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.